Hi, everybody. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. This is Cecile Ahrens. How are you guys doing? We're here to talk about a new campaign. We're going to switch gears and depart from what's been happening around the country. I hope you guys are, trying to take care of yourselves. The news cycle has been very depressing lately, but, some of these things need to be talked about, right? Racism, systemic racism, and so forth. So I'm glad that we are talking about it. I am sad about the fact that there's a lot of violence and riot and chaos going on. Two wrongs don't make a right, and criminal behavior is criminal behavior. But I just wanted to acknowledge that first before I hop on here and talk about our campaign for this week. And hopefully you guys are taking care of yourselves. If you're wondering why my background looks a little crazy, hi Tita Rosa. It's because I'm in the boonies. I'm in the mountains. I needed to get away, but I can't fully get away from all of the stuff that's happening in the country. But anyway, we wanted to focus on the subject, vanity versus self-care, because we believe that this is part of how our selfie culture has transformed our lives, not for the better, but I think for the worse. And it takes a huge toll on our mental health when we don't understand the difference between self-esteem and self-care, healthy self-care, and vanity. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today, and T is also going to elaborate on this, his perspective on it from a male perspective. So what is vanity? Vanity is, the simple definition is it's a preoccupation, a chronic, unhealthy preoccupation with yourself, basically, with, how you look, what your accomplishments are, your appearance, your body, your image, your status, your acquisitions, your belongings. It's this constant preoccupation with you. And, we all can tend to do that, right? What I'm talking about here is the lengths in which one would go to appear and look good or beautiful or perfect. And it could also cross the line towards narcissism. But let me just back up here. So not all people who are vain are narcissists. Narcissists, there's a clinical definition for that, but I am going to use it in this talk, not in the clinical sense per way, but more kind of like in this popular culture way, where people are starting to function and move in the world as if they are the best thing since sliced bread, right? There's kind of an overinflation of our sense of self. And the digital world and the selfie culture, I think, has normalized vanity and has made a form of narcissism, a milder form of narcissism, socially acceptable. It's the me, myself, and I culture versus me, myself, and my community. So again, it's that excessive unhealthy preoccupation with yourself, your appearance, your image, your acquisitions, your belongings, your status, your accomplishments. It's all about you. And it's not all our fault, okay? Because, especially for the ladies, because we have a culture and a conditioning that constantly makes us feel not good enough, that constantly plants seeds of dissatisfaction. Okay, just look at the cosmetic industry. Just look at the multi-billion-dollar beauty industry. Here, where I live in Southern California, I mean, no offense to my loved ones, but plastic surgery has become the norm. And, at one point, I was vulnerable to that. I considered it myself until, my wise, healthy mind thankfully kicked in, and I realized that that's really not that's not where my happiness and worth really lies. So And again, no disrespect here to the people who choose to do that, you know, and I'm going to touch on that too here of like, why do people choose to do that? Again, because we have a culture that constantly makes us feel that perfectionism is attainable, that, you know, perfectionism is the way, and that, you know, if we, psychologically speaking, the belief is if I can change my outside, then I can change how I feel inside. Okay? If I can change my outside appearance, then I can change how I feel inside. And I hate to tell you this, that's only true for a little bit of the way. Okay? That might change, that might give you a little bit more self-confidence. It might allow you to meet, you know, a different group of people. It might even help you get certain jobs and positions, you know, that are very maybe appearance driven. But that's about it, you know. So a client of mine posted this question like, hey, don't you think that if I was more attractive and if I was, you know, more beautiful and I met the standard of beauty that society espouses, that I would meet more men in my life and my prospects would multiply? And I said, probably. You're probably right? From a statistical perspective, yeah. But that doesn't guarantee healthy relationships. That doesn't guarantee a loving, satisfying relationship. That doesn't guarantee happiness. That just means you're going to meet more people, some of them maybe more good looking or accomplished, but that's where the story ends. The same ingredients still have to be present for all relationships to thrive and to be satisfying. It's not based on looks, because if that was really such a huge critical factor, then all those people in Hollywood, some of the most beautiful people in the world, they would not be getting divorced or separated. I mean, look at Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, right? Two of the most attractive people in the world by kind of our norm, our standards, and they couldn't make a relationship work. And that's not to say they failed. My point here is that beauty, looks, and money alone is not enough. So the thing I want you guys to understand is a certain level of vanity is okay, right? We all want to look good. We all want to feel good. And there is a level of effectiveness to that. What we don't want is to be fooled into thinking that that's it, that that's all we need to focus on, you know, or that is going to give us this self-acceptance and self-love and fulfillment that we're looking for. You know, we as humans, hi Ange, thanks for watching. We as humans, really, the things we need outside of, you know, food, shelter, clothing is love, safety, belonging, and acceptance. And when we are trying to manipulate, you know, our physical bodies to a point of where it's unhealthy, that's a sign that there's a deeper need that is not getting met for love, belonging, acceptance, and safety. That a boob job or a butt implant or all of these cosmetic surgeries is never going to be able to give you. Okay? That's the answer isn't in that. You could look like the perfect, you know, model and still feel really empty inside, because that's not what you're really seeking. That can only give you temporary satisfaction. So if this is a pattern, again, it's not your fault. It's part of our larger conditioning, especially with women. This starts with us at a very young age, right? We get all these messages about what we should look like, and, you know, we can't age, God forbid. You can't, like, have all these wrinkles. Like, all these very cruel, unattainable standards are exactly that. They're cruel and unattainable. And all the things that women have to go through just to look socially attractive or acceptable, it's insane when you think about it. It's absolutely insane. And men don't ever have to worry about that in the way that women do. Think about that. Because that's the form of conditioning I'm talking about that is very gender specific. And these are all man-made concepts. You know, these are all things that society has created. and we can uncreate it. It's not going to be easy. I mean, we're already starting to do that anyway in the last decade at least. Like there's all these body positive, movements, which I think is great. But I think it's going to be around for a while, if not forever, because this is how deep this conditioning is. But that's why we wanted to focus on it. And, hopefully if we could change one person's life because of this campaign, then that is worth it to us, because, we're all about helping people feel fulfilled and happy in a real way, in a meaningful way, not in these false, ways. So again, our culture has normalized all of these expectations, and vanity in a way has been, made to be socially acceptable. So how can you differentiate between that and healthy self-care, right? Because some people say, well, I needed to do it. Do you, girl? Do what you need to do to feel good, which is, all sounds harmless. But if you're not clear about what your intention is and why you're doing that, that is a slippery slope, okay? And then it usually moves on to other parts of your body. It doesn't just become like a one-time thing, And again, I'm not going to be hypocritical. I'm a woman, I've had my insecurities, and they're less now, but I still have some of them. But I'm wise enough to know that that's all they are. They're insecurities. It doesn't mean it's true. That I was prone to considering certain cosmetic surgery, and I'm glad that I didn't. So the things that, and again, I'm not trying to shame the ladies who did it, okay? This is more for like if it's chronic, if it's something that is really kind of a way that you're trying to move in the world so that you can feel happier and better about yourself, okay? So this is how you can differentiate. Healthy self-care focuses on various aspects of yourself. There's more of a balance, right? It's not just focused on your body and your image. It's not hyper focused on just one thing in your life. There's a balance. It's not about overachievement or over accomplishment. There's more of a balance between your body, your mind, your spirit, and your career. And it doesn't feel anxiety producing. It's not a preoccupation of constantly wanting to make sure that I look a certain way or have a certain image. It's not driven by perfectionism or insecurity. That's one of the ways you can tell. It's flexible, okay? Meaning the behavior is flexible. It's not rigid. So we know we're about to enter into like disordered behaviors when there's rigidity to it, when there's an inflexibility to it, when there's like I said, a preoccupation, an excessive amount of energy and time goes into it. And then when we're not doing those things, when we're not invested in the vanity type behaviors, it feels really, really uncomfortable. It feels really stressful. It almost becomes a compulsive need. Oh, I gotta get my, even exercise can seem harmless, but even exercise can be overdone. So it's part of kind of a spectrum of disordered behaviors, especially in eating disorder world, where you could literally over-exercise, and people who are not trained may think that that's just really healthy, you're just really into your fitness. But for us in the mental health community, we look at that and we try to assess the healthiness of that, because over exercising can be masked as a form of vanity. And vanity in and of itself isn't just because like, oh, you're just egotistical and you love yourself too much. No, it's usually rooted in feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. And in my experience, having done this for many years, those wounds are planted very, very, very early on in life. Like nobody's really like comes out of the womb and are just so self-obsessed and self-absorbed. That these are learned behaviors, okay? So this is not your fault. This is not about shaming anybody, but it's more about educating and elevating and hopefully giving people, you guys, another way, another option. Hi, everybody. Hi, Ate Cor, Tita Maggie watching. Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm in the boonies. That's why my background is this way. Some of you might know where I am. So another way to differentiate, vanity versus healthy self-care is the self-talk, meaning the things you're telling yourself. So even a simple statement, and I even have to catch myself when I do this, even the simple statement of, I'm fat, I'm so fat, right? Like if you say that once in a while, harmless. But if it's a constant thing and you're constantly preoccupied by it, then that's where you can enter into that slippery slope of disordered behaviors where the vanity, could turn into an eating disorder or what we call body dysmorphic disorder. That's when you're literally like obsessing on body parts and thinking they're look a certain way when to the normal person it looks perfectly fine, and people start targeting their surgeries around areas of their body that they perceive is not good enough or imperfect or ugly or unattractive, right? And so you're seeing that a lot in the cosmetic industry world, where so many parts of the body and the face and now even the buttocks and the calf muscles can be targeted, So again, once or two things, fine. But if it's a pattern and it's constant preoccupation and obsession, that's when you've entered a whole different world. And there's usually then bigger things going on, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of insecurity, feeling of not good enough, unworthiness, all of these things that, again, most likely is not your fault, most likely rooted in seeds and events that were planted very early on in your life. And then you ended up like adapting and internalizing it as true statements, and this is where therapy can help, because it's so hard to sort through the noise and the chatter, right? Because you have the commercials coming your way, you have the celebrities looking perfect all the time, you have social media images, you have all of these things coming at you all at once, and beauty parlors everywhere, right? It's accessible, some of it is really affordable. It's hard not to buy into the trance, this false idea that this is normal. No, we created this. And it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to look pretty and dress up. Like, I'm girly girl. I get it. But again, what we're talking about is the excessiveness of it and the intention behind it. Okay, so you got to look at the quality of your self-talk. Is most of it self-loving, self-respectful, self-compassionate, or is it oftentimes self-loathing and self-deprecating, right? Putting yourself down. Is it starting to create, is it starting to impact the way you move and function in the world? Are you avoiding certain things? Are you, not wanting to attend certain parties or go to the swimming pool because of it, right? Like, beach body. I hate that term. What do you mean get a beach body? Like, we all have a beach body. We all have a body. So again, these are terminologies that we've adapted and don't question anymore. We all know what that means, right? When we hear beach body. But this is how deep this seed of dissatisfaction has been planted in us, and it can drive people to be self-obsessed and vain. And then when you have a social media culture that reinforces these behaviors, right? When you get all the likes and the comments and the shares, all this like adulation, then it makes you feel like, yeah, this is the way. Yeah, look at all the attention I'm getting. And we're going to talk about attention, negative attention versus positive attention in another talk, because these are all interrelated. But, I feel so strongly about this subject because growing up in a culture where beauty and your skin color and, your nose being a certain way was so important. I don't know if you guys know that. If you're not Filipino, you might not. But my culture is very, very appearance-centric. And I grew up with a lot of not so great things said about me and my appearance and my body, my skin color, because they tend to favor lighter skin, So anyway, that's another conversation. But the point I'm saying is, this gets really embedded in us really quickly, you know, from a very young age. Our culture, our education system, sometimes our faith, and then the larger media reinforces it. So it's hard to kind of cut through the noise and believe that you are beautiful. Believe that your beauty is beautiful because of all the stuff that you have to sort through. So hopefully that's helpful. The three kind of things that you guys can ask yourself to help guide you in this path towards true self-care and true self-love, self-respect and self-acceptance are three things. I thought about three things to help guide you guys: intention, impact, and integrity. Okay? Intention, impact, and integrity. So every time you're about to do something that you're not sure whether it's in the spirit of vanity or in the spirit of self-love, ask yourself, what's my intention? What is my intention? So it could be as simple as a post. Okay? When I post this, what's my intention? What need am I trying to get met? What am I hoping to get out of it? Right? Because the answer is all there if you're honest with yourself. And again, it's not about shaming yourself. It's okay to want attention. What we just don't want an unhealthy pattern, meaning if you don't get it, that you turn that into untrue statements about yourself, right? So for example, if you post a picture and you were hoping to get lots of likes, this sounds so juvenile, but this is our culture right now, and you don't, try not to turn that into untrue statements about yourself, okay? And if the intention is to get approval, social approval, that's a pause for reflection. So whatever your intention is, this is why I love that question, that will help guide you as to what is happening in your internal world and why you're behaving in a certain way. So it's not meant as a judgment, again, it's meant as a tool for awareness and hopefully self-compassion so that you can try to get those needs met through the right places, people, and things. Okay? So, reflecting on your intention. Second, reflecting on the impact. And I've had some kind of heated debates with a few girlfriends about this. Impact, what do I mean by that? Meaning, I believe that the more evolved and mature we become, or mature or evolved, I'll leave it at that, the more there's a sense of social responsibility that comes, and an awareness that comes in knowing that what we do has impact. The message we send out there has impact, whether we like it or not, right? Has a consequence. So outside of yourself, follow me here, this is kind of a little deep and abstract. Outside of yourself, if you're just saying, well, it's not my social responsibility to make sure that people feel good about what I'm posting. True, it isn't. But the reality is, there's still going to be some people that may be negatively impacted by it. So a mindfulness, being a little bit more mindful, I think, is, key in helping guide yourself as to whether or not should I do this or not, right? So it's a value system. So again, if you're posting something and you're thinking, this is my page, I can post whatever I want, true, right? But just know that somebody who sees a certain post, so say, I'm going to be radical here, like say you're posting something about, guns or all lives matter, right? Or I don't know, you being, soft porn, because that happens especially on Instagram. You might say, it's okay, it's my page, I can do what I want. Yeah, that's true. But that's still making an impact, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. You're still impacting somebody. you know? So how is this related to vanity and self-care? If you're more mindful about the impact, then you might think twice about, you know, the consequences of your behaviors, right? The consequences of your actions. That vanity isn't just vanity for the sake of, you know, self-freedom, right? So for example, the Kardashians, right? I'm going to be very open here. I'm sure there's a lot of goodness with the Kardashians. It's not all black and white, right? But that kind of behavior around the money, the fame, the power, that sends a message. That has an impact. And I am very comfortable saying that for the most part, that impact I don't believe has been positive. It might have served them and their wealth and their fame, but for a lot of the girls, I would bet to say that it's created more harm than good, right? And it created, I believe it's helped create this movement towards socially acceptable vanity, you know? So just recognizing that your actions have impact, whether you like that or not, that is the reality. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, that's okay. But, you know, hopefully one day it does, because we're all responsible for the world that we live in, right? We all have to coexist. The other thing is integrity. Integrity means your self-respect, your self-honoring, your self-love. Okay, so these can sound like abstract concepts, but, you know, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. Staying true to yourself and your values, you know, and understanding that we're an ecosystem, that one thing affects another, right? And when we are in integrity, and it's a process to get here, by the way, you guys, meaning, you know, it's not about being an angel and not having sins and making mistakes, but like having a commitment to love and honor yourself regardless of what is happening in your life, right? Like, for some people, this is anchored in their faith. For some people, this is anchored in their family. For some people, it's both. Whatever it is that will make you feel whole and beautiful and lovely on the inside is, to me, what integrity is, right? Living your values, you know, being willing to stand up for what you believe in, right? And sometimes that means honoring what other people believe in, even if you don't agree with it. That's integrity, right? Integrity means respect for all people. So why is this important? Intention, impact, integrity when it comes to vanity versus self-care. Because those three pillars are what's going to guide you into not falling prey to the vanity trap. It's a vanity freaking trap. And it's a never endless cycle of the quest for the impossible, which is always being beautiful and always looking perfect and always, you know, having a certain body throughout the rest of your life. Like one of my friends, we got into it again. That's how strongly I feel about this topic, because she's almost 40 and she's trying to weigh what she was in high school. And I mean, as one of your good friends, I just, you know, lovingly said, like, do you think that's really realistic, and why? Like, why is that important that you weigh the same way as you're in high school? You know, and when we unpacked it, because that's when a lot of great things happened to her during that weight, right? That's when she got a lot of attention from men, and, you know, and a lot of attention from women. So yes, the needs belong, but the pursuit is what gets us in trouble. Okay, we all want to be beautiful. We all want to be adored, right? Or maybe some people don't really care about that, which is great. But the pursuit towards perfectionism is the enemy. That's why vanity is one of the 7 deadly sins, in my opinion. Here's the answer to that question, is because I truly believe it disconnects us from our true nature. It disconnects us from our true selves. It disconnects us from the beauty that is already within. Okay? We are already beautiful. We are already worthy. And we don't have to wait on some grand moment. It already is. And that's what I had to learn the hard way. Because I'm not sitting here like on my high horse trying to preach. I hope I'm not sounding that way. This comes also from years of having to undo the conditioning of my culture, of my past, of all the messaging that I received and still receive, right, as women. So please, if you are at all questioning your worth and thinking that the majority of it is going to be addressed by changing your physical appearance, by, double downing on your efforts to look a certain way, I'm here to tell you that unfortunately that just isn't true. It's going to help a little bit with your image, but it's not going to heal or free you from the things inside of us that really need our love, care, and attention. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you. I'm really passionate about this, and I'm just tired of seeing women suffer needlessly because of these false ideas about what it means to be beautiful and what it means to be a woman, and I have been guilty of that myself, when I would judge other women. This was when I wasn't conscious yet, or haven't done my own work to realize that that's just absolute baloney. So anyway, you guys, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if you have any comments about this subject, please, now is the time to contribute. Be part of this movement of elevating each other and demystifying the myths around beauty and weight and boobs, and butts. Like, we just need to, it has to come from us women, because if you haven't noticed, the fashion industry and the beauty industry, a lot of it is run by men and gay men, and this is not to demonize them, but isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And when you look at surgeons, a lot of the people who are cutting us up and sculpting us, granted we consent to it, are men. They're men. Okay, so ladies, we have to start within ourselves and elevate each other. It is up to us. No one's going to save us and help us but each other. And this false competition is exactly that. It's false competition. There is no competition. There isn't. And the beauty pageants, again, that's another form of conditioning, right? That reinforces this message. So, and I love beauty pageants, don't get me wrong, but just don't get caught up in it. Don't believe that is the way, that is the only way to measure beauty, So, love to all. Thanks for listening. And stay positive. Try not to watch the news too much if it's getting to you, because it's really trying times out there. And, I think hopefully we'll be stronger because of it. Thank you and take care. God bless. Bye.